would say boldness. The not just being willing or actually being attracted to the non-obvious, being comfortable being wrong, being comfortable looking foolish. I think there's also a founder archetype that is transgressive. Um, and so you might feel more comfortable backing founders who are like you or with whom you're deeply sympathetic or with whom you want to spend a huge amount of time. That's not always the right answer. Sometimes the right answer is backing founders that make you uncomfortable. There's a bright line around ethics, but there are fewer bright lines around style. And some of the most interesting companies are built by founders that are bold to the point of being controversial. And so I think a great investor has to sift through their own biases with a great deal of self-knowledge and really question aversions that come up. Question when they're shying away from something and parse out maybe there's something appealing about that I need to actually lean into. So it's a nuanced point, but it's really important. And when I see investors, I see deals announced, for instance, and I know the person, I respect them. That introspection, I think, is an important motion for an investor. Then I think this is a multi-round game. It's a game of reputation. And the other thing that distinguishes great investors, in my experience, are those that deliver on their promises. You can get through a cycle or two by being a good salesperson, I wish I were a better salesperson. But I do think at the end of the day, founders have an experience with you, and more, and I'm not talking about websites where people leave reviews of venture capitalists, but more and more the world is a transparent place. And so the best investors are the ones who understand their reputation matters and deliver on the promises they make. And generally that means just standing with founders when they need you. It's easy when everything's going great and gets much harder when things are challenging. And this poses, it seems like a kind of a basic thing to say, but it's a radical time management problem. You advance your career a decade, 2 decades, and there's a lot of barnacles on the boat. There's a lot of obligations you've taken on, and they don't really tend to go away. They tend to accumulate. And so figuring out how to allocate your time and energy between your partners, your junior colleagues, obviously the founders that you've, pledged your time and capital to, new founders who you want, in the family, and then the ecosystem of employees, potential future founders, financial institutions. We host a demo day along with NICA and QED. We had 500 executives from major financial institutions there to see our portfolio companies. Those are 500 relationships. Those are folks who might call me up and want to get coffee. You can't really have a quarterly check-in with, 500 people in addition to your day job. So I think waking up in the morning and asking yourself a set of deliberate questions about how you're spending your time is an important skill for investors. We have this incredible job, you and I both, where we have this luxury of, sitting here and having a bunch of fortune tellers come into our office every day. And we get to synthesize, these different visions that we hear into something that's coherent to us. And so I view the job not so much as predicting the future as it is weaving together these strands of predictions, that we benefit from these founders. And whether that's meeting new founders or in board meetings, which, comprise most of my day, the job is a job of synthesis and articulation more than it is actual predictions. And, embedded financial services was observing what, Mike Prager was doing it at AvidXchange and Flint at Bill Trust and Mike Massaro at Flywire, landing with this software footprint, the sticky data-rich software, and then monetizing through payments or increasingly through credit, and then putting words around that and data around that. So I think I wouldn't want to overstate, how actually creative the job is. But you do have to be a keen observer.